First up, he is the Emmy-winning writer and actor who stars in Better Call Saul, which premiered this week on AMC, and the New York Times bestseller, author of his new memoir, Comedy, Drama, Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, my God!
We'll hug it out. You too.
No, it's good to
I
see
agree.
you.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I was thrilled when
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, please.
You were always such a great supporter of me and David doing our Mr. Show on HBO.
It was like the great.
Does anyone remember? There was
Oh,
like
are you kidding?
Come on.
Oh.
Study your comedy.
Oh, no.
Study.
Or YouTube it.
Yeah, YouTube it. Yeah,
Although,
absolutely.
you know what? That show, and again, you're right. I was the biggest fan. You had legions of fans for that show. One thing about that, which might not work on YouTube, YouTube shows snippets. The great thing about your show, unlike every other sketch show, all the sketches were connected.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Saturday Night Live does one sketch and then another one has a completely different sketch.
Yeah, first there's 5 commercials, but yeah.
Right. But yours, every one, I thought that was genius and innovative.
Well, we were trying to copy Python.
Is that where that came from?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
right.
Of course, they had Gilliam's animations, but we would just make a sketch go into the next sketch just to keep that energy going and keep things silly. And it was great fun to do. I think we did it right a couple times. We did 33 shows, that's all, but packed a lot of ideas into them. And there's a great episode where mediocrity is a monster that kind of just courses through the whole episode, riding a big bike.
Yeah, I mean, it worked on a level I've never seen before. Not to say that other sketch shows aren't good. I mean, you worked on
many of them.
SNL.
I worked on SNL.
And, you know, it's interesting. There's a roster of, like, really impressive people who have worked at SNL and bombed out there. Larry David, Sarah Silverman, our dearly departed Gilbert Gottfried. You, Zach Galifianakis, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
It's amazing,
And then, of course, this is not to say that the people who we've seen on that show up there weren't also fantastic, because they were. It's just like there's two different types of people almost in comedy. What do you think makes that difference between the kind of person who survives and thrives at a show like SNL and those who don't?
I think I'm particularly dangerous and intelligent. I'm a wonderful brain. I'm unique and special. They're better than me, and I'm slower than them. And that's what it is. I just, you know, that show has these demands and needs that to satisfy the audience with a big presentation and a kind of a confidence. And I just didn't have that at the time.
It's broader. It's just broader.
It's broader. Okay,
you know,
sure, but I like broad comedy, too. I just couldn't do it, Bill. I just was too young. You know, a lot of people, that's their first job, and they just don't know their voice yet. And the show's demands are so, like, immediate and intense. You do it every week. You got to put it together in 2 days. And I just couldn't pull it off. I was there for 3.5 years. I learned everything I know there. I got paid for being there, and they got nothing out of me. I mean, I wrote the motivational speaker, but that was a year after I left.
But we got a lot out of you.
No, thank you, buddy.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I took what I learned.
They had 20 other writers.
That's right. You know, I took what I learned, and I came to L.A., and I made a career.
Well, I think it also has to do, and I saw this in your book, you think there should be an element of anger in comedy.
For me, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not that it can't just be silly. We like that too. I do too.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm the same way you are. Like the best kind of comedy has that. There's a little nutritious value that doesn't exist everywhere.
Right. It doesn't end with everybody going, we were just kidding. It's all okay. It's kind of got a little edge, and I needed that, and I loved it, and that's what I saw in Monty Python and even in SNL in many sketches, and certainly the early SNL had, you know, it was a generational thing. Those first couple of years, if you weren't part of that generation, you didn't get it.
Right.
And I love that. I love that in comedy. I love that there's a show that you have to find your way into the brain of the people who made it.
And yet, you never really wanted to be a stand-up.
Bill, you are a stand-up, and you're a great stand-up. And for me,
Bob,
it was always such a struggle.
Finish your thought,
You really are. But it's because
Have you seen my latest special, Adulting? It's running now.
Yeah. This is my guest.
Did I
This is
plug?
my guest tonight, Bill Maher. He's got a special, Adulting. Please watch it. And thank you. You can go now.
Thank you. It's so great to work with you.
You know, and I came up in Chicago during the comedy boom, which you must remember. You started then, right?
Well, are you
The
talking
early
about
80s?
late 70s,
Yeah.
early 80s?
Yeah.
Yes, when
Yeah.
every city, including mid-sized cities in America, had sometimes multiple comedy clubs.
It was crazy.
It was great for a little while, like anything.
Yeah.
And then we ruined it.
And then we were. But I just, you know, I couldn't. I think I couldn't handle the confrontational nature of stand-up. I mean, a lot of times a stand-up show is a fight between the audience and the performer.
Yeah.
And I was always of the feeling like I would get out there, I'd start my act. If they didn't like it, I was like, okay, well, see ya, bye. You know, like right away, like you don't like this, that's okay. There's other
That's
people.
exactly
And
what Larry
you
David.
can't be like,
Yeah,
yes.
That's exactly what
Yes.
Larry David used to do.
That's right. I remember seeing him at the Improv.
But
It was
obviously,
so much fun.
there's a certain genius that's also embedded in that. You were impatient with the audience being maybe too broad.
Yeah,
and
or
not
drunk.
Drunk, which makes you makes you stupider.
Yeah.
You know, and not being able to appreciate the subtlety of what you were doing. I mean, you know, you work on a level sometimes. I mean, do you remember the time that you almost killed me? No, I'm serious. You almost killed me in Aspen. It was there was an Aspen Comedy Festival for many years. I remember we had to go every year. I fucking hated it. Aspen in February, because skiing, I don't ski, I don't want to ski, it's cold, I don't want to die in a tree. The air is thin, I never slept. It was a nightmare.
Right.
You couldn't breathe. And you did this bit. We all had like little, like a convention, we had a little booth or something for our
That part was
fucking...
fun, all the different shows you could go to.
Right, so I forget why you were doing it or what you were doing.
Yeah.
But you did this bit where you were Robert Evans.
Robert Evans is God.
You're going to do it again.
Robert Evans is God.
Robert Evans as God.
Yes.
And I remember standing in this tent, watching you, and I was laughing so hard, and then the air, and I thought, oh, fuck, I'm going to die at a comedy festival. From comedy by another comedian.
Jesus, my son, you never let me down.
But people have to know who Bob Evans is.
Do they? I think the cadence and the voice is so funny, and with the sunglasses and the hair.
They get the general...
And just that God has such a huge ego.
Yes.
Did I do a good job with the world? I tried. Some people say I made a big bet. You know. It's a great way of thinking about God. He's just grinning and happy, and he acknowledges all the problems in the world.
And for those who don't know, Robert Evans was this big producer.
He was a movie
producer.
producer.
Ran a studio. The Godfather, Chinatown. But he was also this larger-than-life figure, and he had a book out at the time called The Kid Stays in the Picture.
Great book.
And the audio, the version we used to tapes back then, you'd put in your car, and you'd listen to it, and it was just the voice you did about his Malibu life, and you transferred it to God. All right, now I've ruined it by explaining it. But isn't it?
It's a baseball players. Do me a favor. Don't pray to me through the whole game. I'm probably not a fan of your team. I got 10 other games on the TV.
You should revive that.
I should do a whole thing. Yes.
We'll do the.
But see, that's the other reason that stand-up was so hard for me is I couldn't tell my jokes more than twice without hating them. Like they'd be a good joke, and it'd be like the second time I told it, okay, I told it. That's good. Tell each other. You don't need me to tell you again. Go spread that word around. And
I know that.
But a stand-up, a real pro, has to be able to do that tight 20, right? That core thing. I don't know if you do that, but I was always working, Bill, on a tight 0, and I got there. It took me a long time, but I got there.
Well, I do a tight 90. I don't do 20s anymore when I do shows.
But you know what I mean? That core material that you bring through the years.
Well, see, I found the secret is people say, like, are you on tour? I'm never on tour. I do 2 shows, like Saturday and Sunday. I go home for a month, and then I do 2 more. Yeah. And that way, it's new, but I'm still practicing. You know?
Keep it fresh. You do happen to have a TV show. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I know. And a podcast now. But I find it very sort of bittersweet that we are at the age now, because your book, fantastic book, comedy, drama.
Thank you.
We're at the age now where we are imparting wisdom. You know,
I wish
mean,
I
you
had
wouldn't
more.
have written a book when you were 35.
Right.
You didn't have enough wisdom.
Right.
And now you have wisdom.
Yeah.
And you're imparting it.
I'm trying to. I mean, I wish I'd learned more, but the little bit that I learned is in there. So please, good luck finding it. But I did. I mean, mostly it's a book about, thanks. Thank you. It's mostly just a book about making your way and not quitting. It's showbiz, and it's a numbers game. And if you keep at it and you keep looking for opportunities, and this wonderful opportunity with Better Call Saul is something I never pursued. And Bill, it just came to me, and it's crazy.
Yeah, you'd never even read for it, right?
I never read for it. I never took an acting class.
So interesting.
Don't tell anyone. This isn't. They're
No,
not
no.
broadcasting this, are
No,
they?
tell them all, because they're wasting their money. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so interesting the way, to name another comedian from our past, Richard Belzer.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Never read for the part that he got, where he played for so long on,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck that show.
Law and Order?
Yeah,
No.
Law and Order, yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was Detective Munch on
Yeah.
many versions of the show. Barry Levinson, the director.
Yeah, just said I know this
Same
guy.
thing with you. Like a smart, creative
Yeah.
director knows, oh, this comedic guy with that mind is going to be more interesting than an actor. I don't have to see him audition.
Yeah.
I just know. I love
Well,
Bob.
that's what
I love.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They loved you.
Well,
and
here
they
it
just
is.
Put you in it.
Or like 14 years later, I've been playing this guy forever. But
Right,
it's
and
been
now
a
it's
great,
coming to
great
an end.
joy. And this is the final season right now.
Right.
It's our best
All right.
season,
Well-
and it's been an amazing ride.
Well, both shows have given us so much great entertainment. and
Thanks.
we thank you for it.
Thanks, buddy.
Bob Odenkirk, God.
Thank you, guys.